A week since the condo collapse in Florida, search and rescue efforts temporarily ceased. That's over concerns that parts still standing could collapse. It comes the same day President Biden and the First Lady are there to offer condolences to the families of those killed and missing. 20 Republican governors sent a letter to President Biden Tuesday, urging him not to add to the number of justices on the Supreme Court. And in New York, the Trump Organization CFO appearing in a Manhattan courtroom Thursday afternoon. That's in response to criminal charges alleging tax crimes. And the New York State Assembly will soon issue subpoenas as part of its impeachment investigation into Governor Andrew Cuomo. Tune in to Deep Dive as we explore these topics and more. Hello and welcome. This is Deep Dive and I'm Tiffany Meier. President Biden and the First Lady are in Florida today to give condolences to the victims of the condo collapse. Biden says he is working to arrange financial help for the effort from the federal government.
I think there's more that we can do, including I think I have the power, and we'll know shortly, that to be able to pick up 100% of the costs for the county and the state over the first 30 days.
The confirmed death toll stands at 18 as of Wednesday. Among the lost, a whole family.
2 of these were children, aged 4 and 10.
Their parents are also confirmed dead. It's been a week since the condo collapse, and rescue crews have been there the whole time. But those efforts had to be temporarily paused. Officials say they had to stop their effort after several structural engineers warned the portion of the building that is still standing could collapse. There is currently no estimated time frame for when search efforts might resume. So far, 18 people have been confirmed dead in the collapse and 145 others are still unaccounted for. Now, as for the federal level, a federal agency said Wednesday it's going to investigate the collapse. The National Institute for Standards and Technology is a small agency within the Commerce Department.
This will be a fact-finding, not fault-finding, technical investigation. It will take time, possibly a couple of years, but we will not stop until we determine the likely cause of this tragedy.
This is only the 5th time it's launched an investigation into a structural collapse. And some residents have filed a class action lawsuit. Their lawyer says they've been raising concerns about the building for years. Another lawyer filed an emergency motion Wednesday to allow an observer and drone to document evidence on the site. He says families have no idea whether it's being documented, and they deserve a voice in the process. Now, staying in Florida, a federal judge is temporarily blocking a new state law there that would forbid social media companies from banning politicians. The injunction came Wednesday, a day before the law was to take effect. The measure would have allowed the state government to sue tech companies and stop doing business with them. Judge Robert Hinkle ruled the law is unconstitutional, saying it infringes on the company's First Amendment rights, adding the legislation compels providers to host speech that violates their standards, speech they otherwise would not host, and forbids providers from speaking as they otherwise would. He also said it is too broad and is an instance of, quote, burning down the house to roast a pig. The judge blocked 2 of the 3 Florida statutes. One imposed fines on social media companies for deplatforming candidates for public office. The other imposed a number of restrictions on censorship by social media giants, which are private companies. Governor Ron DeSantis signed the law in May, saying it was to protect conservative voices from, quote, big tech oligarchs. So what are some of the provisions? The law would enable Floridians to sue big tech companies over censorship. It would also include the Florida Election Commission to impose fines of $250,000 per day on any social media company that deplatforms any candidates. The fine was $25,000 per day when deplatforming candidates for other offices. The governor's office told the Epoch Times that it plans to immediately appeal the ruling, calling it disappointing. The case is likely to work its way further through the court system. And while the Manhattan District Attorney's Office debated whether to indict the Trump Organization on alleged tax violations yesterday, Trump himself was at the southern border. He issued a blistering statement afterwards, saying the situation at the border has, quote, never been worse. He is again calling for a border wall, saying,
so you could have completed the wall in a couple of months, and they decided not to. Now I hear rumors that they want to do it, but it's only common sense. You know, they were saying we want high-tech security. And I used to go around in speeches, I say the 2 things that will never get old are a wheel and a wall.
Customs and Border Protection announced that in May, they encountered over 180,000 illegal border crossers. That's the highest in 2 decades. Texas Governor Greg Abbott and a number of county sheriffs briefed Trump on the current border situation. Many of them are highlighting the rise in dangerous drugs getting smuggled across the border and security concerns over the influx of illegal immigrants.
This May versus last May, the increase of people coming across the border who've been apprehended has gone up more than 800% in just that May over May, and in April it was the exact same thing.
Trump compared his border policies with Biden's, namely the stay in Mexico policy he put in place versus Biden's catch and release policy. The Biden administration formally ended the stay in Mexico policy earlier in June. The Biden administration claims Trump's policy did not adequately enhance border management. But Abbott praises the former president for his border policies. He says one of the things Trump did better than anyone else, and definitely better than any other president, is he stepped up and he secured the border, and he kept Texans and Americans safe. Now, as for New York, the Trump Organization Chief Financial Officer Allen Weisselberg appeared in a Manhattan courtroom Thursday afternoon. That's in response to criminal charges against him and the company, alleging tax crimes. Those are related to benefits that top executives in the company received, and it could even include the use of cars, school tuition, and apartments. The gifts were uncovered by a 2-year-long probe that began with tax questions over hush money payments made to former Trump lawyer Michael Cohen. That's according to 2 anonymous sources from the Associated Press. The Wall Street Journal first reported that on Thursday, charges are expected. A source told Reuters that the charges are expected to come from Manhattan District Attorney Cyrus Vance. Trump's lawyer said the charges would be related to taxes and other benefits, but that Trump himself would not be charged. The lawyer for Weisselberg, Cyrus Vance's office, and lawyers for the Trump Organization didn't immediately offer comments. A former prosecutor in the Manhattan DA's office said one possible charge could be scheme to defraud. The Trump Organization issued a statement saying this is not justice, this is politics. And Weisselberg pleaded not guilty to criminal charges. He has since been released without bail and ordered to surrender his passport. Now, staying in New York, the state assembly will soon issue subpoenas as part of its impeachment investigation into Governor Andrew Cuomo. The announcement was made by State Assemblyman Charles Levine. He heads the body's Judiciary Committee as well as the panel conducting the investigation. He says the purpose of this process is to both gather substantive evidence as well as to assess the credibility and corroborate information learned during interviews. He said the committee will issue subpoenas to get documents and sworn statements from witnesses. The body has probed the allegations against Cuomo since mid-March. Cuomo faces allegations of sexual misconduct. At least 10 women have separately come forward to accuse the governor. Cuomo is also being investigated over allegations that he directed staff to illegally withhold or misrepresent information regarding the number of virus nursing home resident deaths. The governor has refused to resign, saying it's up to voters to decide who governs the state. As for next steps, the assemblyman said the subpoenas will likely be issued to a whole wide range of categories of people. Adding, this is the next step in the process. It's a normal step. We all expected this was going to happen. Levine hasn't indicated when he expects the impeachment investigation will end. Now let's turn to the country's highest court. 20 Republican governors sent a letter to President Biden Tuesday urging him to not add to the number of justices on the Supreme Court. Led by Alabama Governor Kay Ivey, the 20 governors said in the letter, historically, cases before the Supreme Court have served as the last legal defense of state sovereignty, protecting states and our citizens from federal overreach. The governors say the court needs to stay free of political pressure and shielded from partisan power grabs. Some Democrats and liberal activists say the Supreme Court is too conservative. They've called on the Senate to add 4 more justices. Back in April, Biden signed an executive order to form a commission to study possible reforms to the court, including proposals to expand it. He presented the idea on a commission as an alternative to court packing efforts. In the letter, the governors say that one round of court packing will lead to another whenever there is a chance in power. The governors say that if this is allowed to happen, the Supreme Court will lose its role as an independent branch of government and its ability to provide checks and balances. saying the end result of court packing would lead to inconsistent rulings that undermine the legitimacy of the court and fail to guide our nation and serve our states. Back in April, Arizona Attorney General Mark Brnovich said efforts to expand the nation's top court would be nothing less than a direct assault on judicial independence. He noted the cornerstone of our Constitution rests on the notion that power is divided between separated branches of government. This unique system creates checks and balances, an essential defense against any form of tyranny. But what do you think? Let me know below. Thanks for tuning in to Deep Dive. I'm Tiffany Meier, and see you soon.